Hello, this is the next in our Budget Rumours series. Last week, the Treasury issued a press release which flew somewhat under the radar, but it gave us an indication of what to expect at the budget, on budget day and beyond. So on budget day, we can expect what we normally have in relation to announcements and proposals that will eventually be incorporated into the finance bill and have an impact on government finances for the next tax year. What we won't get are the additional consultations and calls for evidence, stuff like that, that we often get published on the same day as the budget. They're putting some clear blue water, as it were, between budget day announcements that will be incorporated in the finance bill and will have an impact on government finances to be done on budget day, and separate consultations to be issued on the 23rd of March. Question mark, what will be in those consultations? Will this be the start of our roadmap towards taxation in the future? Will we get some indication of what tax might look like in the future? Start some consultations, because for many of the tax changes that we have discussed ourselves and that have been discussed in the press, they require some consultation and thought. So will we get an idea of that on the 23rd? Well, we don't really know. I can draw some further evidence from the accompanying letter that went with the issuing of the press release from the Financial Secretary to the Treasury. He said, I intend to lay a command paper, I'm reading from my iPad now, it's called Tax Policies and Consultations, before the House on the 23rd of March, which will contain further announcements, keywords, relating to tax policy, which is what the press seems to have jumped on, relating to tax policy. The command paper will include a number of consultations, most of which will be published on the same day. Another important word, several of these consultations are an important part of the government's 10-year administration strategy. So basically building on last year's announcement in relation to digitising tax going into the future. So nothing of a great sensitive nature, not that roadmap we were looking for in relation to the future of taxation. But he did say several of these consultations, not all of these consultations. What else he said, to give us a bit more of a clue, is that, as I mentioned, the goal of making these announcements separate to the budget, but still on a single day, is to give a range of important, this is the key phrase, important but less high profile measures greater visibility. So we can go, okay, if it was pension tax change, corporation tax change, capital gains tax change, inheritance tax change, you wouldn't class those as low profile, would you? You wouldn't call them as less high profile, but they are important. So we're left hanging a bit there. So we really don't know. We'll have to wait and see. What we do know is that only measures that will impact on government finance and will be included in this year's finance bill will be announced on budget day, and everything else will be announced through consultations. We did a bulletin on this, and one of the points made in that bulletin is that if there were a consultation on future tax change, so we get it right when the change comes in, it may well be that that change is anchored back to an effective start date of the date when that consultation was first issued. So we don't know what the rules are going to be yet, but when they do come into force, they're taking place from this date. It's just a possibility. We really don't know. So all I can tell you with certainty in this budget rumour announcement is it's actually more than a rumour, it's fact. We're going to have specific announcements connected with the finance bill and government finances on budget day, or further consultations issued on the 23rd of March. We'll be covering them both in Techlink.